Today you will see river, a frozen river, dripping water, and a fall in a tunnel. Today's video takes you on the Regers Trail, which is about a 5-kilometer trek in the Yizera River valley. Some chicks compare the place to a scaled down Grand Canyon, but it usually happens only after the fifth beer. The truth is, however, that even so, this trail is an interesting place in all the different seasons. If you come by car, it is possible to park near the trail entry. GPS coordinates and other practical information can be found in the description of the video. Although the beginning of the trail leads along a comfortable path, later on the terrain is much more demanding and cannot be recommended when going, for example, with a stroller. Also, cyclists are prohibited from entering the trail. The first hints about the construction of Rigger's Trail date back to 1901. Yes, you heard that right, 1901. But due to land problems, the start of the construction was delayed by another 8 years. The building itself lasted 3 months and hundreds of kilograms of explosives had to be used. The trail was opened in 1909 and it was visited by 80,000 people during the very first year. Even less experienced tourists can complete the trail in about 2 hours, there and back along the same route. However, we will show you a more interesting return route that can extend the time spent on the trek by about an hour. Although there are no fast food stands along the entire path, you needn't worry as there are several places where you can sit, take a rest and gobble down some of your trip supplies. There are also information signs along the way which describe the interesting points of the trail in several languages: Czech, English, German and Polish. The trek leads through a gorge up to 50 meters deep, along a beautiful river, through several tunnels in the rocks to the confluence with the Kamenice River. Right in the beginning, one of the most attractive parts of Regers Trail awaits us, an almost 80 meters long suspended footbridge, which is located 6 meters above the river. You don't have to worry about its safety. During its construction, the beams were embedded up to 70 centimeters into extremely hard rocks. Interestingly, back in the 19th century, the gorge here was only 1 meter wide at its narrowest point, and it was possible to jump over it. In the original projects, the gorge was much narrower, but during floods, wood accumulated here and used to block the spot. So the manufacturer Smith had the gorge widened to today's 15 to 20 meters. Isn't that beautiful? In summer, on the slopes along the Regers Trail, you will see a number of small streams and springs flowing into the valley. It's beautiful, but it also means you can run into muddy puddles on the trail even during the hot summer. But in winter, the combination of water and frost can create many impressive sceneries. The buildings you see in front of you didn't appear on Regis Path until about 10 years after its opening. Now you can see one of the three buildings of the power plant by which the nearly 2-kilometer long underpass tunnel begins. This tunnel brings water to the second part of the power plant, which can be found at the end of the Regis Trail. The portal of the tunnel beginning can be seen on the left under the yellow wall. While in summer you only notice the information board erected by the rock, in winter the same place looks completely different. The winter Regis Trail offers much more. However, you need to be very, very careful since the snow and ice make the surface slippery. It is also much more difficult to access individual lookouts, especially if you are holding a camera in your hand. That's true that some of the most tricky parts of the path are bordered by a railing on one side, but in case there is ice on the ground, well, it may not be enough unless you are an octopus, though. But the winter views offer what you cannot find at any other time of the year. Let's compare it with a summer shot, where the crowns of the trees play the main role. If you are one of the more adventurous tourists, you don't have to stay on the footpath all the way, since it is possible to enjoy the trip in other ways too. In many places on the trail, you can climb down to the river itself. If you are tough and not afraid, you can very well take a bath in it or at least cool your feet in its water. In summer, the river is usually shallow and lazy, but in spring, wow, it can move tons of boulders. And now let's come to the biggest attraction of the entire trail. Well, in summer, it's just an ordinary footpath leading along the rocks and small caves below it. You might think nothing special, but wait until winter. After several days of frost, you can look forward to an amazing surprise. Omnipresent dripping water freezes and creates a fascinating ice scenery. Look, a 20-meter long and 10-meter high ice fall, which creates a cave with a frozen lake inside. Now take another look at the ice fall from the other side. The other part of the ice fall is similarly impressive. Just behind the icefall, there is a small tunnel. Oops! Well, slippery even in here. If you are lucky, the tunnel can also look like this. Enjoy the beauty of another type of ice decoration. Unfortunately, this charming spectacle doesn't usually last long, as many people tend to pick off at least one icicle and take it home as a souvenir. The question is how long such a souvenir will last. Further on, the trail continues more calmly, but still you can be entertained by the beautiful icicle scenery on the slopes in winter times. And a little bit further, we are coming to the end of this part of the Regress Trail. Take the last look at the power plant buildings and the slowly flowing river down in the valley. Or, if you still feel fresh, you can continue on to the Palatskeho Trail. Next time, we climb up the Mouse Rock. We strengthen ourselves with natural sugars. And finally, we miss the train.